What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dead Box Podcast. My name is Cisco
and Boaz.
And today we are going to dive in a little bit deeper, I guess, in the background or the industry side of Airsoft.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all based on, it's centered around you guys, consumers or customers.
Very true.
Consumers, yeah. The end users.
Yes, we're going to be talking about the increasing price of Airsoft as a whole.
Yeah, as you guys have noticed, probably since late 2021 when products were starting to trickle back in to a lot of retailers, and especially the beginning and now of 2022, you guys have probably noticed, not just on our website, but a lot of other people's websites, that the price in specifically Airsoft guns, they've been going up as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah, things have been getting more expensive. There are a couple factors that kind of determine that, but I know it is a bit frustrating, as a customer, as a consumer, even for me and Cisco, because we also purchase Airsoft things.
Yeah, we play.
Yeah, on our own. Yeah, it is becoming a bit harder to attain like new Airsoft guns.
Yep.
And stuff like that. So, yeah, we kind of wanted to go over and break down and be kind of transparent with you guys. We do value transparency and honesty.
Yep.
So we just want to keep you guys informed as well.
Yes.
As to what the situation is.
And we have talked about this previously in multiple videos, talking about, shipping, the shortage of materials, the shortage in quantity of Airsoft guns. There's a lot of factors that have happened since COVID struck in 2020 that have caused a huge inflation compared to the normal like increase of prices like year to year due to taxes or whatever. So
yeah, but at the end of the day, like all this information is cool, but obviously probably the reason you guys clicked on this video is it's a problem that things are getting more expensive, but what can you guys do?
Yep.
Right, like what would we recommend as players? What would we recommend to you guys if you guys are considering getting into Airsoft? I know there's a good amount of you guys that watch our videos and you guys are wanting to get into Airsoft. And those of you guys who are looking to continue your collection, your own private collection of Airsoft guns, like what can you guys do to help combat this, or to kind of like what is the solution basically?
Yep.
To this problem. So just to kind of break things down, why are Airsoft guns more expensive? Well, I think the biggest factor in the cost of Airsoft guns going up is shipping.
Absolutely.
So if you guys don't know, Airsoft guns are made in overseas countries, mainly China and Taiwan.
Yep.
So those are the two big hubs. There's only really a handful of actual factories that make Airsoft guns.
Yep.
So out of those few factories, they manufacture guns for a bunch of different companies. So
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many brands share the same factory. But in any case, it comes out from the fact. So it has to, once it gets made, right, a batch of Airsoft guns. Once it gets made, it has to be delivered into the U.S. Right? Mm-hmm. That's how you guys get your Airsoft products. So just the freight shipping. So what we have found out is that a lot of these Airsoft guns, they get shipped by boat, not by plane, by the way.
That'd be
freight. Yeah.
It would be much more
way
expensive.
more expensive. Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
first class.
But it gets put on a boat, right? It gets put on a boat, and on that boat is a shipping container, right? Those big, like green, red, blue.
Yep.
Right. Those big metal.
You
boxes.
see them on trains.
Yeah.
At the docks, maybe if you're in like an area where they are actual like port.
Yeah. So
the customs.
Yeah. So the biggest markup actually comes from shipping. So after 2021, or towards the tail end of 2021, when a lot of shipping companies were opening their businesses back up for work.
Yep.
They started to increase the price of shipping. So what that means in the tail end of things is not only do businesses, manufacturers, distributors have to pay for the actual ship, right? Because you have to pay the people on the ship to move things around, but also the shipping container itself. Because actually most people don't own the shipping containers.
Yeah, they're rented out.
They're rented. So the price of renting a shipping container has increased. I believe we heard sometimes up to like 500%. Something like that.
Yeah,
something crazy. Yeah, something crazy. Yeah.
On top of that, there was a shortage in the availability for the containers.
Yeah. So there were less people willing to rent out shipping containers to our distributors or distributors in general. Yeah, and then when they were available, they were very expensive. So, I don't know if you guys know too well, but the profit margins on airsoft guns, because they're considered toys and stuff, like we want to keep the price down for everybody.
Yes.
And there's also negotiations that are made between the manufacturer, distributor, and the retailer to sell it at a certain price. So there's an agreed upon price. That
Which is the MAP policies.
The minimum advertised price. So that's the minimum amount that we're allowed to sell guns at, quoted from the distributors and the manufacturers.
Yep.
The profit margins on guns already aren't that great. Just disclosing that out to you guys.
Yeah.
But initially, if it was a small bump in price, normally you wouldn't really see that reflected on the end price of the gun. Normally you won't see that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, due to how expensive the shipping was, the distributors and the manufacturers would literally be losing money.
Yes.
Yeah. When they're shipping it over to the U.S. So, unfortunately, that's probably one of the biggest markups.
Yep.
Is the shipping, and then once it arrives into the U.S., it has to be inspected and cleared by U.S. Customs Enforcement, which is why there's also a lot of delay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in which airsoft guns are coming because they're still playing catch up right now. A lot of stuff that's been like imported during the pandemic and they weren't working.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Like it's pretty bad. But once all that gets cleared, right? Like that shipping container full of airsoft guns gets trucked over to a distributor. So that shipping container gets loaded onto like an 18-wheeler, and then it gets sent over to a distribution warehouse. Now, we also have to pay the trucker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also because of increased gas prices and all this stuff.
Oh, let's not even get into that.
Yeah.
My
also,
goodness.
Yeah, with diesel, yeah, and also there have been a shortage of truckers available to work as well.
Yep.
But yeah, the prices for trucking a shipping container full of airsoft guns over to a warehouse, that also has been marked up. Yeah, and again, like if it was only a small bump, again, like you wouldn't normally see it.
Yeah, that would be something that
on
the
price.
Distributor and the retailer
normally they'll eat the
cost.
cost. Yeah, usually they'll factor into the cost, but unfortunately, because of how significantly marked up shipping, like freight shipping by truck, also has been.
Yep.
Right. They unfortunately had to increase that as well. So at the end of the day, that's pretty much why normally you would see like guns, especially for us longtime players who've been playing for like a long time. Normally like guns that we would see normally, hey, like I thought that gun like back in the day, like it's probably worth like a $250 gun.
Yep.
But why is it like $300 now?
Oh yeah.
So stuff like that, like we're, especially for us longer players, like we have a sense of like how much guns used to cost.
Yes.
Yeah, and now like we're like, well, why is it so expensive? Well, that's usually the reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, manufacturers, factories, they're taking more time to make guns.
Yep.
And then when they make them, they're put in smaller quantities. And then when there's smaller quantities, they have to ship it right in smaller quantities
at the inflated rate.
At the marked up rate, right? And then once they get into the U.S., we have to pay a marked up rate, to a trucking company to deliver it to the warehouses in which that gets distributed out to retailers like us. So that's pretty much the whole gist of it as to why airsoft guns are so expensive. Honestly, like we wish that we could just eat the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like if retailers were still if they were still going to keep the same prices as they were like back in like, I don't know, 2019, 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, like stores would literally be losing money.
Oh
like,
yeah.
It would probably cost them like anywhere between like $50 to $150 just to sell it to somebody. They'll like lose that much money. But that's pretty much the supply chain. It is a bit discouraging and it is a bit more prohibitive.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what what I predict was going to happen in the market as a whole, like how it's going to shift, I think that more and more people will start to lean more towards what we would consider like high-end beginner to like mid-tier airsoft guns.
Yep.
Yeah, just because they're that much cheaper. For example, like VFC back in the day, or Elite Force, right, with their high-end like Avalon guns, right? Back in the day, we used to like retail them for maybe high 300s, maybe bleeding into the 400s.
Honestly, I would say high 300s max.
Maybe
like 380 max. Yeah,
380, 90.
But the average price, what I remember them used to being around 330 to 350 ish.
Yeah,
give or take.
Yeah.
But now you'll see, full metal airsoft guns with basic internals around the 300 to 350 price.
I mean, like I'm pretty already acclimated to high end, like what we would consider high tier airsoft guns to be almost touching the $400 mark, just because from 2016 onwards there was an increase in import tariffs. Import tariffs. So basically, products coming in from China, and they get an extra tax levied on it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of used to seeing high end guns. Yeah, high 300s, maybe bleeding to 400, but now, when we sell them, we have to sell. The distributor and the manufacturers both tell us, you have to retail it for like $450 to maybe even $500 on some guns.
Yeah,
which sucks.
Yeah, and again, that isn't something that we control. That is the prices that are dictated by the distributor or the company that holds the rights to the guns or are the owners of the guns.
Yeah, but I think what's interesting though is that there's a lot of what we would consider lower end airsoft guns. For example, like the Lancer Tactical Gen 3s, even the Gen 2s, or like the Arcturus polymer line guns, and even like the competition line classic army guns.
Yeah, the skirmish line.
Yeah, skirmish line guns. Yeah, we're noticing that a lot more people are starting to gravitate towards that.
Yes, of course.
And I think what's interesting is that these same manufacturers, they're putting in higher end internal
parts,
components. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Into what we consider like a lower end gun.
Yeah, like a starter. Gun.
Yeah.
That's competitive.
Yeah. So for example, like let's say like Classic Army, who has a high end line and also like a lower end skirmish line, their internals are pretty dang similar.
Yes,
pretty darn similar.
It is using the same gearbox shell, the reinforced gearbox shell, which is very nice, and the same ECS trigger system. So you have the same features. The gear set and the compression set are going to be different between the Nemesis and the skirmish ECS, but you're already like even the motor is going to be different. But you're getting what would be an upgraded gun out of the box. It's crazy how a lot of the manufacturers, like you said, Boaz, they're putting in higher end parts like Type 4 inner barrels, rotary style hop up units, like high speed or high torque motors, or even a balance motor.
But for someone that's not a gun builder or a tech, right? Just from an end user standpoint, for example, like I don't know, let's say like a Classic Army, like Mark 16, right? ECS, like when you just shoot that, like the feel and the response of the gun is pretty dang similar to like what we would consider like I don't know, like LS12, something really high end from Classic Army.
Yeah,
that they're pretty similar. Like you will, if you're a seasoned airsofter, you will be able to feel the difference between the two. Obviously, because they're the high end premium line. Of course, you have to put high end premium parts inside of it.
Oh yes,
but I'm saying that the lower end is catching up.
Oh yeah.
Or even, for example, like G&G, right? Like we always make fun of G&G by saying like, oh yeah, like there's such a huge price disparity between like a full metal version G&G gun and a polymer one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like back in the day, right? You have like a combat machine, which shoots like what we consider a beginner gun.
Oh yes.
Right, and then you have something like a higher end G&G gun that's like full metal. Was it like the top tech models or whatnot?
Yes.
Yeah, there is like a night and day difference between those two models. Yeah,
Yep.
But now, we're seeing brands that for around the same price, like relatively in that ballpark price of like what we consider like a combat machine, we're getting higher end performance.
Oh yes.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing because those guns are still remarkably more affordable than a high-end gun.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it's still going to be more expensive than what we will see like 3 to 5 years ago.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, but the performance-wise, people are noticing that they're becoming more similar in performance.
Definitely. Even not just the performance, but features that the gun would have.
Mm-hmm.
Like nowadays, a quick change spring system is pretty standard.
Yeah.
But I would say starting or like toward the end of 2016, 2017, that was still a feature that wasn't included in most airsoft guns, which is pretty gnarly because now it's like, oh, like you don't need to break open the entire gearbox. On a lot of guns, you could just take off the buffer tube and swap it through the receiver instead of taking it out completely and separating it. And then again, the rotary style hop-up unit. I remember even in like 2015, a rotary style hop-up unit was considered a premium upgrade because of what it did. It offered a more stable platform to apply hop to the BBs. And now guns, Classic Army, Lancer Tactical Gen 2s, Gen 3s, Arcturus, they're offering Type 4 inner barrels that improve the accuracy compared to an original like combat machine or a JG or D-Boys or Double Bell. But like Double Bell is like one company who I think is catching up as well. Their gearbox shell is pretty nice, and they are offering a quick change spring system. They do have a standard hop-up unit, stock inner barrel, stock motor, but again, it's one of those things where even like it's funny to see the progression of airsoft because I'm fairly sure when you started, like there was like plastic, polymer, and metal. Plastic has kind of phased itself out.
Yeah,
there's
no
only
one really
polymer
does.
and metal now, and now you're gonna be nitpicking between like cheap metal and like good metal receivers. So those high end guns are gonna have like good metal receivers, but there's a lot of polymer guns that have better durability than the cheaper pot metal receivers.
Oh yeah.
Like I've had old guns from JG, SEMA where it was cheap pot metal and the receiver's cracked after I dropped it.
Yeah, it's just as brittle as plastic.
Yeah, but I've taken falls on like combat machines. I'm 300 pounds and it survived. And I'm like, what the hell? You should have broke.
Yeah.
So it is very crazy to see. Even like the torture tests that we've done with Lancer Tactical Gen 2 and Gen 3, we stress tested the hell out of that. And I don't care what you guys say. You might say it was paid for or whatever. It wasn't. Like, we put that shit through the ringer.
Oh, yeah. By the way, full disclosure, yeah, we bought that gun, actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, also those tests, you know, it was just mostly for entertainment purposes. Like, we had the intention of breaking it, you know. But when it comes to just your typical field day play at an airsoft field accident, yeah, it's more than capable of, you know, surviving that, as opposed to, you know, like close to 10 years ago when a lot of the cheaper end guns at the time were just made out of just regular what's it called, like ABS plastic.
Yes.
Yeah, your standard polyethylene plastic, which is a bit more brittle, so it's more prone to like shattering or cracking than the nylon reinforced polymer. But I think the reason why I think that these lower end or consider like beginner line guns are catching up to the high end ones is because very few companies are willing to innovate. So so the technology right now, like it's been a little stagnant.
Yes, I would agree to that.
So all the high end guns, like brands, normally we would see a lot more innovation, but I think because of how the market has responded to innovation, they or experimenting, they're kind of scared to right now.
Yep.
To change a system that, to update or to push a system that already works.
Yeah. Well, on top of that, I think it might be due to a shortage of supplies. Like, would a company want to spend money into R&D for something innovative or provide the...
Yeah, but I'm not talking about just the course of the pandemic. I'm talking about even back in 2016, 2017.
Yeah, true.
When...
Well, I would say back then, 2016, 2017, we started seeing the integration of MOSFETs and electronic triggers being installed into guns out of the box.
Yes.
And
so that was like the last best thing is like out of the box MOSFETs that work.
Yes.
But Yeah, but if you look at a lot of companies, like for example, like Crytek is a good example. Like they haven't really done much to the internals of their guns for a long time.
Yeah, well, the difference between the Mark 1 and the Mark II Trident series is just the receiver. The
Yeah,
gearbox is exactly
that's what I'm
the
saying.
same.
Yeah, so internal components are pretty much the same. They haven't really updated it. I mean, it's still good.
Yeah.
But I mean, can it be better? Absolutely. You know, like they're too. I don't want to say afraid, but they're just not really willing to bring innovation into the game. Same with like VFC with their Avalon series.
Yep.
Yeah, they're more or less, they've been the same for a while.
Actually arguable, because they did release the Samurai Edge, which the brushless motor, but I do think that there are improvements that can happen with that system as well.
Yeah. So because of that, what I'm saying is like the high end, the high tier airsoft guns, usually back in the day, they're known for innovating.
Yep.
They're known for coming up with better and improved systems or completely new systems altogether, right? That kind of changed the industry.
Yep.
But they haven't been really doing that, so they're more or less just I think what we see nowadays is they're just improving the quality of each internal component. I think.
Fair.
Which is good still. That's still a good thing. But nothing really new is coming out. So because of that, the lower end spectrum of airsoft brands, right? They're just seeing what the high end brands are doing. They're just kind of copying it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that allows the quality of the lower end line of guns to improve.
Yes.
I mean, and which is good because now we're able to supply a lot of people that are getting into airsoft with a better quality gun at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it does lend to better enjoyment overall.
Yep.
But I think also now, how does that apply to this current situation when guns are getting increasingly more expensive? Well, I think that because of how expensive high-tier airsoft guns, instead of being willing to shell out $400 to $500 for a higher-end airsoft gun, I think a lot of people will start doing is they'll start to make the compromise of like, oh well, at the end of the day, the internals are pretty similar to a high-end gun, but I'm losing that external quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
that's fair.
Yeah. So high-end brands like KWA, VFC, like high-end G&G.
Yep.
Yeah. They all come with really nice, or LCT also, right? Really nice metal.
Yeah.
Like full, like realistic feeling guns.
Yeah. Where they're solid.
Yeah, they're solid. And I think players will be more willing to trade that off for a better performing gun that's polymer. So like, yeah, I mean, again, like not all polymer guns are created equally.
Yes.
Yeah, so some polymer guns, like they really did work to the polymer.
Yeah.
And it does feel really solid and rigid. Other brands, I mean, it's a little bit more bendy. There's more give to it. Mm-hmm. But again, it's made from the same material.
Yeah.
So it is still pretty strong. Like for example, like Arcturus, like their receivers, I think they're a little bit thinner than what you would see from like a combat machine. So a little bit more give.
Yeah.
But it's still a very, very solid polymer receiver. So I think players will be willing to make that trade-off, to use a cheaper material like polymer instead of metal, so it lowers the cost. Yeah, and then internal they're getting similar components, and I think that I think a lot of players will start to see those lower-end guns a little bit more positively now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have noticed that a lot of players, especially like in the indoor speed QB scene, they'll go with a polymer gun.
They prefer to
keep it lighter.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as they have upgradability internally, like that's where like you can get that polymer gun to catch up to a high-end gun in terms of like we already talked about like how entry-level mid-tier guns are catching up to performance for high-end guns, but you can get it to outperform with a little bit more out of pocket for the gun. Oops, sorry. Out of pocket for the gun, but you're not spending as much as you would on a high-end gun. So say you get a $180 Lancer Tactical Gen 2, right? Then you get maybe a Gate Titan, which is, I think the base one is about $90, and then maybe good gear set, another like $30. Compression set will round it out to like about 50-ish. You're sitting still within the like $300 to $350-ish price range versus
don't forget a motor.
Yeah, I mean, depending if the motor's good.
Lancer Gen 2 needs a better motor.
It does. I mean, you could run the stock motor, but there are good motors that are around $30 to $50 as well. And even with that price, you're getting up to like the 350, 380ish range. You're still saving roughly like 80ish bucks.
Yeah.
But in the end, getting a gun that's going to outperform that high-end gun.
Yeah.
So I think like just with what is available and not only for airsoft guns, but upgrade parts, I think this is my solution for the shortage of like high-end guns or airsoft guns overall, especially because, as you know, I'm a builder. I like to, when I get a gun, I immediately think, okay, what am I going to do to it? If it shoots good, there's still going to be a little bit of tinkering that I'm going to do personally, just because I like to do that. I like to tinker with these things. But there's been rare instances where I've left a gun completely stock because it shot that good. I would say one of those is like the classic Army Nemesis series, because the ECS, because the 31K motor, the gear set, it shoots pretty damn good. All I really did was change the bucking and inner barrel, and I didn't even need to change the barrel because it was already 6.03. I just changed it to
but not to dive too much into the minutia of things. I think another big thing, right, is what you said, like a builder. I think there'll be a lot more builders now. I think people more inclined to be builders. Yeah, like as nice and convenient it is to just get a gun that just like performs really well out of the box. I mean, that's why for me personally, like I've had a really good experience with KWA guns.
Oh yes,
which is why I'm such a fanboy, because I just buy the gun. Yeah, it's more expensive.
Yeah, but you don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
to it.
But I paid for a premium end gun that is, everything's designed to work together.
Yep.
Yeah. Everything's married to each other, so it doesn't need upgrades and it shouldn't need upgrades. I think more people will start to shift away from that, and start to get more into just building a mid-tier gun.
Well, yeah, I think there's a number of things that have to do that. Availability is what we were talking about, but how much is a customer willing to spend? And then I personally think that building your airsoft gun is one of the biggest parts about airsoft. Not even just internally, but externally as well. Kitting it out, changing the rail system, the pistol grip, the stock, accessorizing it. There are all these things that play into building a gun. So even if you get like an airsoft gun that you think looks good or you like it out of the box, there's still going to be some things that you're going to change eventually.
Yeah, that is true. So, I mean, building it, I think, is a very crucial skill.
Oh yes.
If you want to stay in airsoft for the long run, which is why we've released our Building Your Build series.
Yep.
Yeah, just to help educate a lot of the, like, not just younger, but people that just haven't been in the hobby for as long.
Yes, or don't have the community to learn from.
Or even people like me I'm just not very mechanically inclined. So I'm good at taking things apart. I'm just really bad at putting things back together.
I think everybody's good at taking things apart.
Yeah.
I think everybody can.
Yeah.
Were you one of the guys that would like get dad's watch, dad's nice like Rolex, and then take it apart, try to figure out how to put it back together?
Well, I think my lucky star is that my dad never bought any of those expensive watches.
Okay.
but yeah, like there have been times where I'll be like, yeah, I want to take this thing apart. Like it's like for me as a little kid, like I had Nerf guns. And then some of my friends, like they will like modify them.
Like Taylor.
Yeah. Like drill out the air restrictors and stuff.
Yep.
And I would try doing that. I'm like, I do a really good job at unscrewing everything, taking everything else apart or whatever. I do the mod, and then when it comes to putting things back together, where all these spare parts come from?
How did I do this?
Yeah. So putting things back together for me is always pretty tricky. But yeah, having a tutorial series like Building Your Build really does help, because it's kind of like a side-by-side guide.
Yep.
On how to do things, and also it's a video, so you can pause anytime you want.
Yeah.
Right, or you could run things back also.
And we did try to be very detailed about that.
Yeah.
And showed the process.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, yeah. So I think other than just less people now are going to want high tier guns. I still think that there will be a good amount of the section of the hobby that still swear by and still live and die by those high-end gun brands.
Oh, of course.
Because they do always, the product will always speak for itself.
Yep.
But I think people that are more kind of questioning about where to go, I think a lot of them will be more now convinced to get like a polymer-bodied, like mid-tier to low tier or beginner tier airsoft gun.
Yep.
I think another big thing that's going to start making a comeback, like my prediction, is retro guns.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, retro guns. Because another big like overlooked aspect of the hobby is accessories. Like we said, right?
Yes.
Like rail systems and like foregrips and pistol grips or motor grip stocks, like all this stuff, like optics, lasers, lights, like tracer units, mock suppressors, like those parts. I think like they're very popular in the hobby because it can immediately change the look of your gun.
Yes.
Make it feel like a completely different gun or a new gun, and obviously it looks really cool. But people kind of forget that those parts like add up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it adds up. Yeah, like even if you get like a high quality like rail system, like you're already bordering close to like $100 for like a PTS like rail system.
Yep, for sure.
Something like high end, or even like the new, very tempting and very so nice BCM Air.
Oh yeah.
MCMR rails, yeah, which I picked up personally.
Yes.
Yeah, it's over $100. I mean, it's nice though. Like if they're really well machined, well made rail systems. Yeah, but it adds up. And even like an optic, right? Like a lot of these red dots and short dots, like scopes and sights, it adds up. Like usually for a good one, we would always recommend anywhere north of like $50.
Yes.
Yeah, usually to get a good quality one. For airsoft, not for real guns.
Yes.
For airsoft, yeah, $50 and up will usually give you a good quality optic. And again, that adds up. So if you buy like, I don't know, like a $250 gun.
Yep.
Or even like a $200 gun, right? And then you don't like the rail system, so that's $100 for a rail system. Oh, you know you need an optic in your red dot. Okay, that's another $50-$60. Oh, you don't like the stock. You want a cooler stock, right? That's another $30 to $50, right? Oh, you want a more ergonomic pistol grip. That's another $20-$25.
Yep.
Right. And then you want a foregrip because you have a certain shooting position or style. That's another like $10 to $15, right? Oh, you want to use tracers? You want to shoot laser beams? Tracer unit. That's another like anywhere between like $70 to $100.
Yes.
You know, depending on which ones you get. So all those parts, like it adds up. So you're basically like buying another gun. So I think with retro rifles coming back in the real firearms community, I think that'll really start to bleed over into airsoft.
Oh yes. Well, I think we can agree that the real firearms world affects the airsoft world. Mm-hmm. And I have been seeing a lot of those retro guns come back, especially like guns that we recently reviewed from ENC.
Oh yeah, the
externally solid as hell. They are nice, and they are a standard version 2 gearbox that you can upgrade. It shoots stock out of the box.
Yeah.
Like it can compete, but I mean, like compared to maybe spending the $140-ish bucks. I think what's cool about retro guns is like something that you pointed out to me that I think you got from either Grantham or Administrative Results is that it gets the job done.
Yeah, and also like the brand ENC in particular, I think it's a very interesting time that they've started to really push themselves in the U.S. market.
Yes,
because ENC they've been pretty popular in Canada, and I believe also maybe some parts of Europe. So
I have heard that.
Yeah, so coming to the U.S., it's an interesting time because I think we've noticed. Also, in general, is like when it comes to like metal body guns, most players at that price range would rather prefer like a polymer bodied gun.
Yes.
Yeah, with better internals. So the way I see ENC is like because their external quality is really good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much like if a high tier airsoft company just released something that like you just get the externals, the nice externals, and then the internals are just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. So you kind of get a trade-off, which is why like we see those ENC guns now in the U.S. for like around the $300 mark.
Yep.
Yeah, as the way I see it is like, well, for another $100-ish, right? You can get nicer internals.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so at the end of the day, it'll cost us just as much as like I don't know, a high-tier airsoft gun.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, but talking about retro rifles like in a philosophical standpoint is I think they're making a comeback because like nowadays, like within the modern firearms community, right? Like there's so much stuff that goes onto a gun.
Oh yes.
Right? You take your base, I don't know, like AR-15, right? Take off the cringy clamshell handguard or whatever, or the version 1 like Riz rail or whatever, right? Put a sleek M-lock rail on it, right? And then
remove the triangle sight.
Yeah, yeet that triangle sight, right? And then you gotta have a cool optic, but not just optic, but so you gotta have a cool riser on it too, right? And then you gotta have a slimmer like a buttstock for it, and you gotta have ergonomic pistol grip, and then you have to have like what else? Like a really cool like aggressive like trigger, and then you have to have like you have a laser unit, and then you have to have like a really cool flashlight and a cool pressure pad system, and then like cool cable management clips, and like cool like foregrips, and then a cool muzzle device or a suppressor. So like we're putting on so much crap, onto a gun, and I think the retro guns like it just looks so different now.
Yeah.
Like a modern AR versus a classic like CAR-15 like carbine, like
completely different.
Yeah, they look like completely different guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to look back at that and they're like, wow, like it was so simple back then.
Yep.
Yeah. All you really need was just like a flashlight. And that's it. Yeah. And then especially, I think influencers on social media, they've also played a big role in like bringing back like the callback to retro rifles. Specifically the CAR-15. Specifically, that's been really coming back. And I have to say, like at first I wasn't really sold on that. I'm like, I still prefer like my super kitted out like AR style airsoft gun. But after a while, like looking at a CAR-15, like especially with the cool paint job, like there's something to it that just kind of draws me into it. Like it just looks rugged and reliable. Like it's seen stuff. It's been through stuff. And for some reason, one thing that really gets me going is like seeing someone like rock like a somewhat of a modernized kit, but they run a retro rifle. For some reason, like I'm just like, yo, that looks sick. Yeah.
I'm gonna need to see some pictures of this because I don't think I've seen too many.
I'll show you later. But especially administrator results. Like he's like really big on that.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like really big on the retro rifles, but he has like a really cool like kit. So he was always running like the Feral Concepts and the and like the new Haley Strategic plate carrier and
Thorax.
stuff. Yeah, the Thorax, and like he has like the cool guy like Balaclava and stuff. Like mixing those two things together it just looks really cool. And then but at the end of the day, like you're saving a lot of money.
Yes.
Right? So like with an ENC CAR-15, let's say, you buy that gun, you want it to perform well, so you throw roughly about like close to $100 ish, right, to your retro gun, and then at the end of the day, like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like so because of the handguard, you can't really mount accessories onto it. So there's no real way to mount the foregrip unless you do some like heavy modification.
Well, I mean, there are those older like rail kits for the clamshell.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, again, but the availability on those is pretty spotty.
Yeah.
I've checked, and I don't know if they're compatible with the Airsoft handguards. I don't know. They might be slightly different spec. Yeah. So I'm not saying you guys should do it just because we haven't tried it on an Airsoft gun, so we don't really know. But yeah, so you don't really need a foregrip. You don't really need a laser unit, right?
Yeah.
Like optic is optional, right? We have those carrying handle rail adapters that are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You down the line you can buy an optic, but it doesn't need it, right?
Yep.
And then especially with the ENC, it comes with the kit correct flash hider, which is super dope. Which is nice. Super dope. Yeah. And then you just buy a cheap sling, or maybe an existing sling. You 2-point sling that bad boy.
Done.
And then that's it. And then you just paint it up. You paint the gun, give a cool like kick-ass paint job.
Yep.
And that's it. Like whereas for example, like if you bought like I don't know, let's say like a 416A5.
Oh,
right. Yeah. You're already paying like the $500 for the gun. Mm-hmm. Right? Great performing gun. And then but the quad rail's not cool. So you have to buy the
debatable.
Yeah. You have to buy like the SMR rail. Or like the M-lock version of that, right? Because it's not cool. And then, or let's say like you even preferred the quad rail, Gross. But you prefer the quad rail, so you leave that on. But you're already $500 in, right?
Yep.
And then after that, but then you have to buy an optic for it, right? You have to, right? So you buy a red dot, $50 ish maybe, right? And then you need to buy a flashlight for it, right? And then
maybe a pec box.
Yeah, and then you have to buy
D-ball.
D-ball pec box, to have it matching their foregrip and all this stuff. Because so at the end of the day, like modern rifles or modern looking rifles, like they were designed in mind to have accessories on it. So modern rifles on its own, like my opinion is it doesn't look nice. It looks kind of empty because it was made
by itself.
Yeah, it was made to be accessorized.
I can agree to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And where the retro rifle by itself was made to run by itself
on its own. Yeah.
And it looks pretty good.
Yeah. So if any of you guys are out there kind of like on the fence of buying a retro rifle, I would say like it will definitely change the way you play, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day when I was running my combat machine, bare bones, I didn't even bother aiming down sight. I just tracked the BBs because the iron sights were a pain in the butt to look through.
Yeah. Honestly, I tell people to get good at iron sights.
Yeah. If that's important to you, by all means, of course, get a good sight picture. And then, the gun itself is going to be lighter. Retro rifles usually are pretty light unless you go with a intentionally very heavy retro gun. But like, for example, a Car 15, like Car 15 on its own will be way lighter than running like a fully kitted out SBR of the same barrel length.
Yep.
Yeah, way lighter. And so it'll definitely change the way you play. And also, please, if you buy a Car 15, please paint it for the love of God. Please paint it. Please paint it. Please. Yeah. Yeah, just go to your hardware store, buy a couple cans of spray paint, just please paint that bad boy.
Get the Rust-Oleum camo, the flat colors.
Bro, I am so over the Rust-Oleum colors, man. I'm so over those.
Yeah, but you got to get a flat base. And those are the only ones that I know that do it good. Because I've used other paint. It's terrible.
I will recommend if you can, if there are art stores in your area, look into the Montana brand. Montana, yeah. So those spray cans are like, that's like the gold standard or the go-to for a lot of like graffiti artists, or mural artists. Not want to endorse illegal activities, but they're like the artist grade ones. They might not be as clingy or as sticky as or not even as matte as the Rust-Oleum ones, because I have used their flat colors in the past, and they're a little bit more glossy. I would put it more akin to like a Cerakote, almost. Like a Cerakote-ish finish. Yeah, but they have a ton of colors. Like even the quote-unquote tactical colors. Like I found a Ranger Green equivalent. I found an FD equivalent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I found a Battleship Gray equivalent. So they have a ton of colors. So, yeah, dude. Like, man, imagine like if someone did like a cool like a tiger stripe pattern. That would be sick.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Or if you buy those sticker stencils online, you guys can make your own digital patterns and stuff. Like again, there is a rare beauty to like colliding a worlds of like an older style gun with like a modern style kit kind of thing. Yeah, that there's something, or like an old rifle with a modern camo pattern even. Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a rare beauty to that, honestly. So I think that's another way that we're gonna see a lot of airsofters kind of gravitate towards now is like retro rifles,
style.
Retro style rifles, and then so I think that when you kind of break it down, especially with the price increases, I think that is kind of like the main solutions is like either people will start to gravitate more mid-tier guns, and they'll incentivize airsoft companies to keep producing more of those mid-tier guns, make them more available.
Yep.
Right, and then the higher tier, hopefully with the high-end companies, if they ever start to notice that like their products aren't selling as much, hopefully they'll start pressuring them to innovate.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like imagine if they found a way to make a better hop-up system. Like out of the box. That would be sick.
I mean, I don't know how they would improve upon a scene like the rotary style with what's available. I mean, maybe if they just pair with different companies,
Yeah.
to include out of the box, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but because like high-end companies, they've kind of stagnated for a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, if they could find new ways to improve the existing system, so so that way they'll continue to increase the gap between a mid-tier and a high-end gun.
Yeah.
Like that'll be sick. Then us as an end user, right? We have innovative and even more higher performing airsoft guns that we have to work with.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then and then hopefully more companies will also release just more retro rifles. There's so many cool retro rifles out there that I wish I could see more of, Like, Scott from US Airsoft, he loves the Galil. The Galil's sick, man.
Oh, yeah.
Galil's such a cool gun.
More
dude,
FALs?
Dude, yeah, Oh, yeah, dude, more FALs, please. And then SIG 552s.
Oh, if we
OG SIG, please.
Yo, SIG Air.
Please.
Hop on it.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, please.
Come on,
yeah.
bruh.
Yeah. And then, thankfully we still have Car 15s.
Yep.
Car 15s are always sick. And then if we get more M14s. Yeah,
Yes.
OG M14s are
There
cool.
has been a shortage of M14s.
Yeah.
I want to see more.
Yeah, the OG G3s. G3s are still pretty freaking sick. Yeah.
We'll see where the future of airsoft will lead us.
Yeah. So, like I just think that like there is a beauty. Like I've been for a while, like I've been very much like trying to be on the bleeding edge of like modern like looking guns or whatever for the hobby. I was very much on that camp.
Oh, I think everyone is because it's a whole like just world that you're diving into of accessories and stuff.
So yeah, the accessories that you put on the gun is like the way you kind of express yourself. But I think
it all comes back around. Kind of like how like you start off with black, and then you move on to like camo, tan, and then it comes back around to black.
But also, like I think people are kind of forgetting that like with these retro guns, because like if we can have more of them available, right? The gun you pick reflects, you kind of like it reflects who you are as a player. Yeah, or your style of play, or maybe even like the way you want to express yourself. For example, like our head tech Taylor, like he loves 308 guns, or guns that like airsoft guns that resemble 308.
Oh yes,
guns in real life. Yeah, so he loves that. So not only is he a HK fanboy, but he loves 308 guns. So he loves larger caliber guns, and his play style is like he's a marksman. So he loves long range, long shooting guns, and he likes to stick back, right? Play a little bit less up close and personal. And so that's what he loves doing. Like for me, like I'm a big M4 guy. I'm starting to dabble more into, like for me, like I love bullpup guns too. I just wish there were better bullpup options out there.
Yeah.
Or more than out there. But for me, like I love like shorter length to carbine length, rifles, because like that's where I have the most fun. It's like somewhere in between super up close and super far away, like just in that happy middle ground. I think a lot of players kind of play like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think airsoft, like what you said, can be a reflection of yourself. You're going to build the gun the way that you want to, and to cater to your play style.
Yeah.
So that's what's great.
Yeah.
So hopefully we do see, just more availability coming in the future. Like as things are opening up and things are somewhat coming back to normal, hopefully we can get back to that. Yeah,
because there are a lot of like beginner line companies that still, in the past, they've made a variety of guns. Like I think JG or someone like they've made those SIG models before, the older SIG models.
They have, but now that licensing has become really big.
That's true.
Maybe they could just work together.
Yeah. Or they can make something similar but not exactly like a SIG 552. But like that's one thing that we've seen kind of like getting phased out. So a lot of these like companies, they still own the molds. They still own the components to still produce them. So hopefully it might push them to start producing more of those affordable, different looking retro guns.
Yep.
Yeah. So that way, like you could, players will now have the ability, will kind of move away from just like what kind of accessories you pick, its expression of yourself, but what kind of gun you pick.
Yeah.
And then the paint jobs.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you guys for
joining us.
Joining us on our long rambly rant and our kind of like theories about how everyone will kind of respond to this unfortunate reality of airsoft.
Yes, let us know what you think in the comments below. Maybe there is a model that you would like to see.
Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah.
Again, we talk with a lot of the distributors and manufacturers directly. We could throw the ideas their way. If there's a lot of attention going toward a specific brand, I'm fairly sure it'll come out eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below. Let us know what you want us to talk about in the next Deadbox podcast. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. And join me on Tuesdays and Thursdays for my live stream giveaways at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube.
And also watch him just fail horribly at video games.
Yes, I'm terrible at it. But other than that, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
So then all of a sudden I just started blasting it. Did you hear that?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. We've never opened this.
Oh, open it.
Guys, listen to me, okay? During my live stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm doing a giveaway, okay? A giveaway for you guys. All you have to do to enter is go to airsoftui.com, place an order of at least $20. $20, okay? No, I'm giving away stuff. You guys can win. You guys can win right now, okay? No, I'm not going back in there. No, I'm not going back in there. No. Hey, let me out. Let me out.
So what are you saying about blasting?
So anyways, I just started blasting.